out. Oh, I love it. I stand amazed in the presence.
What's the number?
547.
I'm sorry, I was with the kids or something tonight?
Thank you. I was gonna say I was getting prepared to get that thing.
I stand amazed in the presence. 547. We'll do verses 1, 3, and 4.
I don't see it. Put it on silent. Maybe they're running late. They said they were gonna be here.
Oh, who's that?
Annie and Mattia.
Oh.
Little rain thing.
That's all I do.
Whenever you send out the rain post.
Hope you're ready.
Number 547.
All right. Hopefully we're in a good place.
Of Jesus, the Nazarene, and wonder how he could love me, a sinner condemned unclean. How marvelous, how wonderful, and my song shall ever be. How marvelous, how wonderful is my Savior's love for me. He took my sins and my sorrows, he made them his very own. He bore the burdens of Calvary, and suffered and died alone. How marvelous, how wonderful, and my song shall ever be. How marvelous, how wonderful is my Savior's love for me. With the ransom in glory, his face I at last shall see. 'Twill be my joy through the ages to sing of his love for me. Oh, how marvelous, oh, how wonderful, and my song shall ever be. Oh, how marvelous, oh, how wonderful is my Savior's love for me.
All right. Thank you, Molly. All right. Well, we have at last, perhaps mercifully, come to the end of Judges. Last chapter in the book of Judges, chapter 21. And we've seen some wild, crazy, and interesting things going on in the book of Judges. But again, it's important to remember the writer reminds us a couple of times, right? In chapter 17, and then he'll remind us again here in 21, there was no king in Israel. There was nobody to keep order in Israel, and everybody did whatever was right in their own eyes. Everybody did what they wanted, did what they felt like, did what was right for them. And so we have seen that. Now, I didn't get here until we got into good old Samson and company, but I'm somewhat familiar with the first part of the book of Judges up to that, and lots of crazy stuff. And so here we are. The last couple of chapters have been rather unpleasant. with the Levite and his concubine, and then the result of that enormous sin, that egregious act, was basically civil war for Israel, right? We saw where the Benjamites, the people of Gibeah, they committed this horrendous act, and then the rest of Israel was like, okay, you really can't do that, and so they went up and told the Benjamite leaders, hey, give us these people and it'll all be good. And they're like, nah, I don't think so. And so that resulted in the civil war that we've seen. And so here we are now. If you remember, 600 guys escaped from the slaughter. And after the Israelites had defeated the Benjaminite army, they went on a spree, right? They sacked every town, burned it to the ground, killed the men, women, children, everyone who was there. Reminded us a lot of when Joshua led the Israelites into the promised land to start with, when they killed every man, woman, child, and burned the cities to the ground and all that sort of thing. And so somebody had mentioned the fact that basically the Israelites, especially the Benjaminites, had reverted to doing what the people were doing in the land before they got there. And so this was another cleansing of the land, so to speak. And so here we are, chapter 21. Remember, 600 escape. They go to this rock. They crawl up on the rock, basically into a mountain, and they're waiting there, trying to not get killed like the rest of the Benjamites did. And so that's where we pick up in verses 1 through 7 in Judges chapter 21. If we can get somebody to read those first 7 verses.
The Israelites had vowed at Mizpah, we will never give our daughters in marriage to a man from the tribe of Benjamin. Now the people went to Bethel and sat in the presence of God until evening, weeping loudly and bitterly. O Lord, God of Israel, they cried out, why has this happened in Israel? No one of our tribes is listening from Israel. Early the next morning, the people built an altar and presented their burnt offerings and peace offerings on it. And then they said, who among the tribes of Israel did not join us at Mizpah when we held our assembly in the presence of the Lord? At that time, they had taken a solemn oath in the Lord's presence, vowing that anyone who refused to come would be put to death. The Israelites felt sorry for their brother Benjamin and said, today one of the tribes of Israel had been cut off. How can we find wives for the few who remain, since we have sworn by the Lord not to give them our daughters in marriage?
All right. Uh-oh. What's going on now? So, I know y'all had gone through Joshua before Judges, and now we've gone through Judges. What seems to be sort of a hallmark of the Israelites at this stage in their development? What seems to be that thing that they seem to do and then regret very shortly afterwards? Make a vow. Absolutely. Remember when Joshua, right? Joshua, he's still leading them, and I believe it was the Gibeonites. They come and they're like, yeah, we come from so far away. They had torn their clothes and taken moldy bread and all that to make him think that they came from a long way off, and we're like, we're not people of this land. We're just here to make peace with you because we've heard how powerful and great you are. And Joshua was like, well, that sounds like a great idea. Never went to the Lord, never sought God's leadership on it, just said, yeah, let's do that. And then Jephthah, remember good old Jephthah? He swears, if the Lord gives me this victory, then the first thing I see when I get home, I will sacrifice it to the Lord. And of course, what was the first thing he saw coming out of his house? His daughter. And so now here they are again. They're making another reckless vow, saying, yeah, we're, those Benjamites, we're not going to give them our daughters anymore. They've done such an awful thing. How dare they? Raw. And now they're like, oh, wish we really hadn't done that. So they had wiped out. I'm not sure what they were expecting if they refusing to give their daughters in marriage to anyone from Benjamin and killing all the women in Benjamin. I'm not sure what exactly they thought was going to happen to the tribe of Benjamin after that, but apparently they did not think that one through. They did not think all the way through on that one. And yes, ma'am.
I think they were real quick all the way through Judges to act first before they actually thought any plans through. They would go to war without an actual thought of, when we kill all these people, they're still Israelites. We're taking, killing each other, not somebody else on the outside.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, especially once you get to Samson and all the way through till, was it last week when somebody finally called out to God, right? They finally decided, hey, maybe we should pray about this before we do it. But for 3 chapters, we saw nobody in Israel calling on God for anything. And so, yeah, they were much quicker to act than to think it through or to pray even. So
It sort of seemed like God was involved in this too, at least. Because, those earlier verses said the Lord annihilated that 25,000 Benjamites before Israel.
right.
So, do you see any sense there where the Israelite leaders heard from God and told them to go do that? Obviously, the author thinks God was ultimately behind it. But if God really told them to do that, then there really wasn't anything to think about. You just go do it, right?
So, do what?
But it's the vow, not the battle.
Yeah. The Lord definitely told them to go up to battle against Benjamin. He definitely told them to attack and to wipe out the Benjamite troops, right? The soldiers, the warriors who were fighting for Benjamin. We don't see where he tells them to go crazy and slaughter everybody. We also don't see where he tells them, like Susan was saying, we don't see where he tells them to take a vow to refuse to give their daughters. God was definitely in this discipline of Benjamin, but he also made a covenant with Abraham and his seed forever. And he had given this land to the different plots of land that he had divided up for Israel forever. And so I don't see that it was God's plan to wipe out one of his tribes.
So it's like God judged them, but then they carried it too far by refusing to give them any way to propagate their tribe at that point or something, because they killed off all the men.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, and the women. I mean, because like I said, if you look at the last chapter, once they got rid of the guys who could fight back, they just went on a tear. Yeah. So, yeah.
Do you think that the Benjamites, whatever, are so rotten because this is Joseph's little brother, right? This Benjamin?
Yeah.
And little brothers are always just rotten, okay? And,
I resent that. I'm the youngest of 4. I resent that statement.
anyway, sorry. And so I'm just wondering because, I don't know, it's like it's a generational thing. I mean, because they seem really rotten. I mean, they do awful things. They can get away with it.
Yeah, but we're going to see, though, the grace of God on Benjamin when we get to the end. So hold that thought. Hold that thought. All right. So yeah, they have regretted it. They regret making their vow. They regret that they have pushed a tribe of Israel to extinction. And if remember, up to this point, all that Israel had was itself and God, right? I mean, there was nobody around them who thought they were swell guys, right? There was nobody around them who was like, hey, I really want to ally myself with the Israelites, right? Everybody hated them. Some things never change, yeah, still do. And so they have pushed one of their own tribes to extinction. And now, yeah, they had done the right thing in chastening Benjamin, but like Ralph said, they went too far, and now they regret it. So what now? What's to be done now? They're even asking that, right? Verse 7, what do we do now? Well, you're going to love their solution. Somebody read 8 through 15.
And they said, what one is there of the tribes of Israel who did not come up to the Lord at Mizpah? And behold, no one had come to the camp from Jabesh Gilead to the assembly. For when the people were numbered, behold, not one of the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead was there. And the congregation sent 12,000 of the valiant warriors there, and commanded them, saying, go and strike the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead with the edge of the sword, with the women and the little ones. This is the thing that you shall do. You shall utterly destroy every man and every woman who has lain with a man. And they found among the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead 400 young virgins who had not known a man by lying with him. And they brought them to the camp at Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. Then the whole congregation sent word and spoke to the sons of Benjamin who were at the rock of Rimmon, and proclaimed peace to them. Benjamin returned at the time, and they gave them the women whom they had kept alive from the women of Jabesh Gilead, yet they were not enough for them. And the people were sorry for Benjamin, because the Lord had made a breach in the tribes of Israel.
What a great solution. Right? So they realized, oh, there was one city that didn't join us to go fight, and since we made a vow, remember, they've already made one vow, or they've already made another vow to punish whoever hasn't come, so now we got to go punish these guys. And what are we to do with their virgins? Oh, I know. Let's give them as a peace offering to Benjamin. And so that's basically what they do. They kill everybody except for 400 virgins that they find there, and they take them and offer them as a peace offering to the men of Benjamin.
So that was not a tribe they wiped out, that was a city.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, it was a city of Israelites within one of the tribes. But yeah, it was just a city. Just a city.
I mean, they're running out of tribes.
Yeah. Yeah. They're running out of people to kill. That's, yeah.
Look at it from the point of view of those virgins, it's kind of a horror story. Their families are killed, they're kidnapped, taken somewhere else to be married off.
Yeah. I mean, they're just hanging out one day, and suddenly these dudes with swords show up and start slaughtering everybody, and then kidnap them and sell them off. Yeah, that's true. It doesn't get a whole lot better from here.
Okay, where it says in 11, kill every man and every woman who's not a virgin, what happened to the men?
They got killed.
They got killed. It's every man and every woman who's not a virgin. Not every man who's not a virgin.
Okay.
It's just
Got it.
all the men, period.
I put it all together, sorry.
No, you're
It
good.
didn't make quite a lot of sense to me anyway, so now it makes more sense.
Good.
That city was, the half tribe of Manasseh. It was in their territory.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, technically, yeah, it was on the other side of the Jordan, but it was within the.
But they saved all the younger brothers, who were spoiled anyway.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Never mind. All right.
I started it.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, they make peace with the Benjamites with women. It's this is what happens when everybody starts doing. Again, this is what happens when everybody just starts doing what they personally think is the right thing to do. This is what happens when you don't have a code of conduct or or you throw off the moral law, or however you want to put it. This is what happens. Everybody just because it's impossible to have a society where everybody just does what they think is the best thing, right? Even if they all get pretty close to agreeing, there's still, everybody's going to have a different view of what the right thing to do is. And so when we throw off God's word and we just start making it up as we go, you end up with the book of Judges. And that's exactly what they did, right? They threw off God's word and just started doing what felt right.
It was Gibeah that started all this mess, right? The way they treated, I forgot the names already.
The Levite's concubine.
Yeah. But then, you thought some of the rest of the tribes of Benjamin would see that what Gibeah did was wrong, but they seemed to have rallied around Gibeah, right or wrong.
Yeah.
It just seems strange.
I mean, it does, but here's the thing.
Just how there doesn't seem to be any close to the unified concept of right and wrong with these bunches.
Yeah.
They were just
Making it up as they went.
Yeah, Civil War.
Yeah. It does. I mean, yeah, when we look at this, we think, how in the world could they defend such an action? But then think it through. Because right now in Israel, yes, they see themselves as Israelites, but they're all very much a different tribe, right? They all have their own plot of land. They all have their own leaders. And in a world, in a society where everybody is doing whatever they want and everybody has thrown off the laws of God, then who are you going to trust? The people right next to you, right? The people that assuming they're not doing the same thing to you, but you're going to trust the people you grew up with. You're going to trust the people you're related, especially in this time when where you're born and who you're born to is such a big deal, right? I mean, at this point in time, whoever you're born to and where you're born at can decide your entire life, right? Because if you're born a Levite, you know exactly what you're going to do with the rest of your life. You're going to serve in the temple. If you're born to the line of Aaron, you're going to be a high priest someday. So in this day and time, where you're born and who you're born to is like the most important thing in the world. And so when these other people come after your kinfolk, as they would say in East Tennessee and Southeast Kentucky, when these people come after your kinfolk, hey, we're going to give our people the benefit of the doubt, right? We're going to give the people we've grown up with and lived next to our entire lives, we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, they were 100% wrong. Don't misunderstand me. They were 100% way wrong. But when you take, again, can't hammer this enough, when you take God's word out of the equation, then this is what you end up with. You end up with trusting people, and that always ends really well.
Well, right at the beginning of the chapter, when they were saying they wailed and cried in loud voices to God, but they were telling God. They wouldn't ask him. We're going to do this. We're not going to let any of our daughters marry them, and then let's have an offering.
Yeah.
And then they kind of have to backtrack on all this, but that's a problem that I have sometimes is I'm telling God what instead of asking him what I should do.
Yeah, that's a great point.
This is like 400 years without a king or a judge and then after Joshua.
So, no, they had several judges in that time. They had Samson sort of was a judge, but he's gone at this point.
Samuel was the only one that worked 2 cents.
Yeah, that's right.
In that time frame, even with the judges, they're still looking at all the other people that are oppressing them or the people they're living next to, or
Yeah,
they're still pulling all of that into their lifestyles instead of it being like it was with Moses and all of them are following this path.
yeah,
Now it's everybody's just kind of throwing stuff in the pot, and what you get out is what you get out.
yeah,
Well, I think you hit it right on here, that this is what happens when people forgets God and almost in rebellion against that. This book started out, as long as Joshua was alive and those elders that were there with Joshua, they did okay. But I think didn't it start out that after that bunch died, that's when things started going down the toilet.
yeah,
Nobody there speaking truth, God's
Yeah.
truth to them anymore.
yeah. And you can even see all the way throughout Judges, that's exactly what happened. So it wasn't that they were actually sorry, right? It wasn't that they actually regretted what they had done and they had truly turned to God in the sense that they were wanting to follow God, because every time a judge died, they went back into rebellion. And like you said, the first time it starts when Joshua and that whole generation dies. So they're content with following a person. And this carries over all the way through Samuel, right? In the 1 Samuel, when they say, give us a king so we can be like everybody else. We just want to follow a guy. We just want one person telling us what to do and leading us. That's all we want. And it really, again, you see it starting in Judges, where every time the judge dies, they slip back into rebellion because that's what they wanted. They wanted a guy. They wanted a person up front telling them what to do and leading them rather than just trusting God with everything. Good thing nothing like that ever happens anymore, huh? I mean, those foolish Israelites and judges, man, we're so much better off than they were.
Yeah, we've never had a civil war, have we?
Easy now. I'm not sure the guy born and raised in Ohio should be talking about that in Texas. All right. Anything else not U.S. Civil War related? All right. Can I get someone to read 16 through 25?
The leaders of the assembly said, how can we find wives for those who are left? After all, the Benjamite women have been wiped out. The remnant of Benjamin must be preserved. An entire Israelite tribe should not be wiped out. But we can't allow our daughters to marry them, for the Israelites took an old saying, whoever gives a woman to a Benjamite will be destroyed. However, there is an annual festival to the Lord at Shiloh, which is north of Bethel, east of the mountain road that goes up from Bethel to Shechem, and south of Lebanon. So they commanded the Benjamites, go hide in the vineyards and keep your eyes open. When you see the daughters of Shiloh coming out to dance in the celebration, jump out from the vineyards. Each one of you catch yourself a wife from among the daughters of Shiloh, and then go home to the land of Benjamin. When their fathers or brothers come and protest to us, we'll say to them, do us a favor and let them be, for we could not get each one a wife through battle. Don't worry about breaking your oath. You would only be guilty if you had voluntarily given them wives. The Benjamites did as instructed. They abducted 200 of the dancing girls to be their wives. They went home to their own territory, rebuilt their cities, and settled down. Then the Israelites dispersed from there to their respective tribal and clan territories. Each went from there to his own property. In those days, Israel had no king. Each man did what he considered to be right.
Yeah, no kidding, right? So, we didn't get enough women from the other place, so from Jabesh Gilead. So what do? We go and find a way to break our oath without actually breaking our oath, right? I mean, talk about legalism. I mean, these guys were already learning it really early. How can we break our oath without breaking our oath? Oh, I know. Tell them to go kidnap the dancing girls. Because they didn't get enough, right? They only had 400 women for 600 men. So, yeah.
This whole part, you think of little kids, how they twist the rules so they can still do something without breaking the technical thing their parents told them not to do.
Right, right. If you ever had an older sibling, then you probably, I did this on multiple occasions to my siblings. Put your hand right in their face. I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, right? I'm not touching you. So, not touching them, but the point is clear. The point is made. But yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. They're twisting the rules, they're bending the rules, and even though they had made a vow, they really regret it now, so they find a way sort of around it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Once again, they show women are basically like cattle back then. Just, they're gonna take them.
Yeah.
There was still a lot of arranged marriages. All marriages were arranged back then, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it, do what?
We should go back to that.
Well, I'm glad it was a woman who said it.
Just moved to Iran.
Oh, gosh, well. Ralph's trying to be controversial tonight. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Been more some boots on the ground out there.
Gotcha. All right, so yeah, this is yet again another bleak episode in the history of Israel. You know, at this point, when you read verse 25, I mean, it's like, yeah, no kidding. All right, everyone's doing what's right in their own eyes.
Well, just said that kind of jokingly, but that it's not quite as severe as this. I had a good friend that worked for Saudi-based industries in Saudi Arabia for 3 years, and he had an offer from a Saudi over there to buy his younger daughter.
Wow.
It's been perfectly legal over there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there are still places in the world where women don't hold much value.
He could have converted her.
Good luck with that.
This was almost 20 years ago. It was the Kuntzes, you know Randall Big Kuntz. Their youngest daughter. Yeah.
That's crazy. But so here's the grace of God. Who comes from Benjamin? Who comes from the tribe of Benjamin? I think I heard somebody say it.
Saul?
Yeah, Saul. In fact, Saul's mother, or maybe grandmother or something, was probably one of these 600 women who got kidnapped from either Jabesh Gilead or one of the dancing queens. But sorry, that probably. But anyway, yeah, that's Saturday. That's right. So Saul's now that's King Saul. Who else comes from Benjamin? Yeah, Saul of Tarsus, Paul. Yeah. So we see the grace of God here, obviously later on, that Benjamin did a horrible thing, and Benjamin was nearly wiped out. And yet, two of the most well-known Sauls, one starts off well, ends really poorly. One starts off poorly, ends really well. Still, definitely the two most famous Sauls I've ever known, right, are both come from the tribe of Benjamin. And by the time Paul is writing Philippians, being from the tribe of Benjamin is a good thing, right? It's a noble, because he even says when he's listing in Philippians, when he's listing chapter 3, when he's listing all the things that made him a great Jewish guy, he lists being of the tribe of Benjamin, being of the royal tribe. So what a difference, several hundred years make. The tribe of Benjamin has gone from being the outcast, nearly extinct, to now being the royal tribe, and bragging rights to have come from these 600 guys who ran away and these 600 women who didn't want to be there. So
You missed one.
uh-oh. Esther.
Yep, she came from the Benjamite.
Oh, okay. We'll see.
Yeah. I knew somebody was.
Yeah, that's true. She's a woman.
Right along with that. She doesn't count because she's a woman.
Yeah, that's right. Doesn't matter. No, I'm kidding. All right. So there you go then. I mean, the grace of God is running all
Saved a whole
over.
bunch of people.
Yeah. Yeah, she pretty much all the Jews she saved. Because pretty much all the Jews at that point were in the Persian Empire. So, yeah.
But there's several times that God uses a small part of people, a remnant, to do something great out of it.
Yeah.
Throughout the Bible.
Yeah, I mean, all of Israel became a remnant at one point.
So it amazes me how he'll take a small portion where we see the praise, but like he said, God had his hand in it, because he knew later down the road there was going to be Saul, there was going to be Paul, and there was going to be Esther's that were going to come out of that tribe.
Yeah.
Because in the end, don't all 12 tribes come back together?
Yeah. Yeah.
All 12 tribes are toward the end of.
Well, under
All
Saul.
12 tribes are going to be in heaven because they're the judges.
Oh, I see what you're like the end. Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah. I
So
thought you
then
meant.
they got rid of this tribe because they had to have the 12 for the judging of the Jewish people, like the Pharisees and the Sadducees, because Jesus tells them. They're the ones that are going to be judging you.
Right. So yeah.
They got back together under David and Solomon too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't last long.
No, didn't last long. After Solomon died, it all fell apart again. But alrighty. And then what was left of the tribes, I guess you could say, sort of got together under Herod? Nah, probably not. All right, anything else on Judges 21 or Judges in general? This is it. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Well, I mean, guess not really, but
One thing I've noted on, especially in the Old Testament, if they put a curse on somebody, like Noah with his son, and it's forever. So they gotta be careful
yeah.
what they say, because there's no retraction.
Yeah, I mean that they took and they understood that swearing by the Lord God was a big thing. And it wasn't something that obviously Jephthah did it kind of lightly, but typically they didn't do it lightly, and they meant it. And when they said, so when you read through out the 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, and 1st and 2nd Chronicles, and the kings say, may the Lord do to me even worse if by this time tomorrow so-and-so is still alive, or so-and-so still has his head or something. They meant it. I mean, they meant, I'm going to kill that person, and if I don't, then God can take me out. I mean, it was a real thing, not just a flippant, oh yeah, I swear to God, that kind of thing. That didn't exist with them. It was a real oath that they genuinely meant and were willing to well, sacrificed their own daughter in order to fulfill it. So, yeah. Good times. All right. Well, don't forget, next week we're going to be starting in Acts chapter 1. We'll be moving into the New Testament. It's still kind of bloody in Acts, but not nearly as bloody as Joshua and Judges and lots of other stuff in the Old Testament. So, so read. Probably won't get real far next week, but go ahead and read Acts chapter 1 and be ready to take on Acts next week. All right. Anything else? Well, then let's get ready for prayer requests.